Hey everybody, welcome to Marketing Mastery Live. This is our weekly Ask Me Anything session. My name is Jeb and I work with Conversion Pro. So today, as promised last week, we're going to go into something a little bit different. We're actually going to go into a little bit about how we can use an AI tool to help us produce some content so we can get some content out to the masses, either through social media, through blog entries, or that sort of thing. So for the purposes of this, what I'm going to do basically I'm going to teach you how some of the content that we've already sent you, that we've already kind of created, can help you get the ball rolling. So without further ado, I'm going to get set up for that. If you guys have questions as we're going through this process, please free to just put them in the chat and we can kind of go from there. So anyway, see what happens with that. So one of the things that you need to recognize from the beginning is that AI tools such as ChatGPT are not just these things that produce great content. It's something of a little an art form to get the content that you need in such a way that doesn't sound like it's been written by artificial intelligence. So, in no case is this purely a hands-off process. It's actually something that can greatly help or streamline your processes to get content or things like that created. But in all cases, what you should be doing is looking at what's created and make sure it jives with your business and make sure that it jives, like if there's facts or things like that, you're going to want to verify. You're also going to want to, particularly in the area of blogs, not so important in the social media part, but you'll also want to run it through a escape or something like to make sure that you're not inadvertently plagiarizing other material. So none of those things go forward. That it's not something that's this perfect thing that no matter what you can just use blindly. You're really just going to check everything as you go. Okay. So briefly, I want to talk to you a little bit about our general content marketing program. The whole idea here is to add people leads to your list. So when you're doing that, um, you're basically creating an evergreen situation where you'll continue to get leads and process leads. But also, if you get enough of those leads to get into your list and you continue to nurture and drip on those folks, then what you'll have is you'll have a book of business that kind of continues in perpetuity. And so as you build, you create this big thriving list. Like if you have, for example, say 10,000 people that somehow opted into your list and you continue to nurture them and be available to them and give them value pieces of content, that's a really great lead base to help you with your business continuing forward. Um, but the question is, how do you attract people to your list? How do you make people raise their hand and say, you know what, I want that information? The answer to that is always going to be educational and engaging content. We're going to focus today on the educational content side because it's something that's fairly easy to do with what we've given to you. But one of the things I want to encourage you to do is also think about content in terms of how you can share your expertise of an area. Let me draw you a little bit of a picture. If I'm following a real estate agent on social media or receiving their emails, there's several points of expertise I'm looking for as far as what would attract me to doing business with them. One of those things would be a real big familiarity with the law in regards to real estate. Interestingly enough, studies have shown that whenever you are an actual licensed professional, there's kind of an acceptance that you probably know how to handle contractual things, things that are related to real estate as a business that, that you should already know that stuff by nature of the fact that you are a real estate agent. Now, you and I both know not all real estate agents are created equal, but what's happening is that there's the kind of understanding in the public. It's kind of like if you're talking to somebody and they say, hey, I'm a welder. Well, we expect that by calling themselves a welder, they understand how to weld, the basic tenets of how to weld. Same thing with any profession on the planet, either the blue collar or the white collar world. When you tell somebody you're a real estate agent, there's things that we expect or that the person you're talking to expects that you'll be able to handle and do just because you're a real estate agent. So examples that would be things like contracts, getting your homes listed, making sure that everything's nice and tight during the contract delivery, and kind of smoothing the sale, smoothing the water, so to speak, on your way to a sale. We expect real estate agents to know that. However, there's another thing that's a little bit more kind of in a soft skill, so to speak, and that is awareness of the area. Like, how well do you know the area? So an example of that might be like, do you know what the schools are like? That can be a big issue. Do you know how long a major feature of the landscape, like let's say you're a 10-minute walk from the beach? Well, do you know that you're a 10-minute walk from the beach? Do you know what that's like? Is it a strenuous hike? Is it an easy hike? Are you close to the mountains? What is your area known for? Perhaps your area is known for having great, Greek food, as an example. Maybe you have a favorite, hairstylist or barber that's in the area. The more of that kind of area awareness that you show, that's more on the softer skill side, but makes you more, not only does it make you more relatable, but also will help give the impression that you actually do really know your area. So when we're talking about content, there's really those two different focuses. There's the get to know you sort of, actually maybe three. There's the get to know you sort of content, but then there's also the educational content, and then there's also kind of the lifestyle content. So that way you can really kind of hone on your expertise in any given area. So if you guys understand that, just go ahead and throw a one into the chat, and we'll just get rolling on how to create some educational content for social media and your blog. Okay, so for the purposes of this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using one of the PDFs that we've published that you already have access to. And I'm also going to be using a tool called ChatGPT. ChatGPT has been making the rounds in the news lately because of its obvious skills in terms of creating content. But it's not the sort of thing that will just create content on the best sort of content right away. You have to kind of teach it what to say and how to think. So I'm going to go through just a little bit about something simple that can be done to get you started on this kind of content journey. Okay. Hey Shane, nice to see you. So let's start. So what I'm going to do first is, in order to make ChatGPT work for you, and for those of you who don't know, the website is chat.openai.com. You need to give it context. So context means that you need to tell it kind of where you're coming from, what information to use to create what it's going to create. And the whole idea behind creating this sort of content is to drive people into the funnels that have been created, right? So it's only appropriate that we create content that relates to that funnel. So what I'm going to do is, if you'll notice on your Conversion Pro screen, all of the PDFs and things like that, if you've completed your onboarding, is going to be found under Media. One of the things you can use as a source for ChatGPT is published PDFs. It'll read them, it can see them, as long as it's published and not behind a paywall or things like that. It can actually, read that and go from there. So let's go ahead and go to, am I in the right thing? Hold on just a moment. It's lead magnets. There they are. Goodness gracious. Okay, so what we can do is, we can't copy the PDF into the ChatGPT deal, but what we can do is have it look at a link. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's just grab 4 things you could do right now to increase the value of the home before you list it for sale. What I'm going to do is right click and get the link. And then I'm going to come over to the ChatGPT window. Let me go ahead and get there real quick, guys. Just give me a moment. Okay, so we have the ChatGPT window up. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to ask it to give me some suggestions of blog titles that we can write based on this PDF. Okay, you can use traditional language. You don't have to be terribly fancy about it, but I can say, suggest 20 blog titles that will educate the reader based on, and I'm just going to copy in the PDF found at that address. Okay. So what should happen is that it will take a look and read that, and then it will basically come up with some ideas. So let's just see what it can do. Okay, so we're going to stop generating. That's weird. Hold on here. Let me just make sure that I am in. Okay, tell you what, I'm going to do this a little bit different way. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to grab just the title. Okay, so let me just do it like this. Let's see. So sometimes a little bit of a you know, um, helpful, sure. Suggest, okay, based on the benefits of social media, 20 possible blog posts, social media marketing. In that case, okay, hold on just a moment. No, it's looking at the wrong thing. So what happens is sometimes it just looks at the wrong deal. So let's try this again. Give me 20 educational. I love live because then things happen. Give me 20 educational blog titles on the subject of. Let's see here. We're going to do how to increase the value of your home for sale. So let's go and take a look and see what it gives us now. Okay, now we're going in the right direction. AI is one of those things that's not perfect, so it will go through some of these glitches. Just important to work through and understand what it's trying to do. It's trying to create context. The nice thing is that within these chats, you actually will have that context created through all the subjects and things like that. So let me just double check something here just real quick, guys. Give me a moment. Okay, so we have our topic. Okay, we have our 20 blog titles. Now here's where it gets kind of fun. So basically, I've asked it to create 20 potential blog titles on how to increase the value of your home for sale. So these are all the suggested titles. Okay, so it has all these ones. Some of them will fit with what you want to write, some of them won't. It's just a matter of just picking one and continuing along with the content stream. So what we're doing right now is we're eliminating friction between you and what you have on your blog and the creation of things for that blog, which will add to your SEO, but also give things that you can use for outreach to use in social media and emails and things like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick one. Okay, so I'm just going to highlight this and pick the first one. 10 home improvement projects that will boost your home's resale value. And I'm going to ask it to write an outline for a 1,200 word article about, whoops, nope, nope, not about that. I need the title. Hold on. Go up here again and grab it. Whoops. No, stop. Sorry, Jasper's in here creating some issues. The world. Okay. Sorry. Um, okay. Sorry. Outline. We always go to outline first. And we want educational voice. So that's why I say educational in there. titled. Okay, so let's see what we can do. Okay, here it gives me an outline. See, it's going to go ahead and just produce that. Sometimes when there's high volume and things like that, you'll get these little pauses. So the reason why we go to outline first is that we want to get kind of a feel for how this thing's going to perform or what's going to say. So that's why we go to outline first. Or some people will skip the outline step. I think it's a good idea because then you'll kind of see what it's going to be about. You can see this is rather extensive. There's an outline for introduction, explanation, small scale projects, big returns, painting, all these different things you can do. And as long as this is in alignment with what you might suggest, then what you can do next is you can just say, okay, now I'll just say, write a 1,200 word educational blog based on the outline. Okay, so let's see what happens here. Now what it's doing is it's going through and trying to write this article. Okay, so it's going to talk about a little bits and pieces. It's just going to keep on going. Okay. Okay, so you can see what it's doing here. There's like a suggestion. So sometimes it may not finish it. So you might want to say like, let's see here. So DIY professional. So give like a little pause. So sometimes you might have to say like a command like finish the article. So now it's going to go through and work on it. That's getting down to the end. Okay. So it's already given us a lot of great content, okay, from start to finish. Then what we like to do is, particularly if you want to beat Copyscape or any sort of AI content generator detection thing, is we like to change the tone. So we might say something like rewrite the entire article, sorry, article in a friendlier voice. So you can see already the tone is different. So it's saying, hey there, if you're thinking of selling your home, instead of sounding more kind of cold, it's actually more engaging now, right? So now it's going to rewrite the article based on that. So you might lose some detail, but the content will be friendlier and easier to read. So you can see, like right now, this is actually a much shorter article, but they're doing that on purpose because I've asked it for a shorter, for actually a friendlier article. It doesn't seem quite as formal. Okay, so now we have that. Our next step would normally be to go ahead and put it into Copyscape or something like that. There's also a detector. There's some free detectors online to see if your plagiarism checks and things like that. But let's just assume that we've done that. And our next step is great. Jeb, now we have this blog. What are we going to do? What are we going to do with this blog? Well, our next step is to go ahead and publish the blog in our WordPress site. And then in that blog, have a link to or an embedded form for the actually a link to the funnel's fine, for a link to the funnel related to the blog. So all I'm going to do is link it to the funnel, and if people read it, then they can read it and then go right to the funnel. But that's just publishing it on your site and getting it to where people that might be reading it would be going like, okay, I'm interested in this, or what have you. Um, that is not the entirety of what we need to do here. We need to actually drive traffic to it. So that usually takes some social media presence. So our next step with this is to go ahead and add social media posts. So just as a quick check, do I have you guys still, are you still understanding what we're doing with this? I know this is a highly technical topic, so I'm sure you guys will be going back and looking at the video, looking at the recording, but this is just designed to be kind of an overview. So anyway, my next step is to create social media posts. Now, the more specific you are with the request, the better off you'll be. So if you're trying to do social media, like let's say you're doing all your social medias like on Facebook, okay, or let's not use Facebook. Let's say it's on LinkedIn, okay. So LinkedIn, you have to consider not only the platform but also the culture of the platform. The culture of the platform is a fancy way of saying what sort of mindset or community is LinkedIn building? Largely professionals, um, but the people are usually more in kind of a business sort of mode when they're in LinkedIn. Or then you have like Facebook, where it's like people basically it's kind of like the community gathering center. And then you have Twitter, which is kind of like the coffee. People call it the water cooler area, where people are just firing off ideas. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask ChatGPT to create some social media posts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just say, okay, create, let's just go for 25 social media posts for LinkedIn that are between 250 to 500 characters and have 3 hashtags each for related to the article. Let's see how that does. Okay, so now what's happening is it's creating posts that will hopefully, when people read it, you add your link to your blog article into the post at the end, and you can basically just say, like, don't forget about energy efficient windows and doors. They look great, can save you money on your energy bills, windows, doors, etc. And then right after that, you just put a link to the blog. Now you're driving traffic to your blog because people will take that prompt in social media, and they'll, if they're interested in it, they'll look at your blog. So now what we're doing is driving traffic to the blog. By driving traffic to your blog, you're getting people to see the expertise you have within your neighborhood, within your area. Okay, so I would just put down like this one, wondering which home improvement projects to tackle yourself and which to hire a professional for. Learn more here. It's got these hashtags here, which also help because it's becoming more content. It used to be back in the day that it was based how many followers you have and how many, how much engagement you have with your followers. Now what's happening is because there's so much viewership, social media channels are a lot more interested in getting good content in front of people. Gary Vaynerchuk has called this the TikTokification of social media. And what that basically means is that, yes, building followership is great, but you have to treat each post like it has a real opportunity to go viral, or that you're trying to reach the most amount of people with. So, an example would be if you're putting upgrading your home's lighting can make a big difference, blah, 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 and you just put that into your social media, it's not only going to be shown to the people that are your followers or some percentage they're in, but also people that are kind of like have been looking at these searches or hashtags also. So you're kind of like gathering in with a larger net. So if you put this in, then they go, so like that one entry, upgrading your home's light can make a big difference, etc. At the end of that, put a link to your blog. You're driving traffic to the blog, and then you can maybe do some lead capture there. But more importantly, you're just building that audience. You're building that reach so that people come to expect you to give out good information. You can use our scheduling tool to create that. And if you go into, let me go ahead and grab that screen. So now what you can do is go into our social media planner, which is under marketing. Know that. Social planner. Now what you can do is basically just copy those into the new post. You can add a post. You can put them all into a CSV if you would like. But you can just take that, copy that in here, and schedule it with the total text of it, and then also the hashtags, and also a link to your blog, and then you'll get that traffic going where people are like looking at your content and expecting you to be an expert not only in the field of real estate but also ins and outs of what to do with real estate and also your general area. So that is a super quick sort of overview on the use of something like ChatGPT in terms of improving the volume of traffic that you have to your blog from social media and other channels. There's other uses for ChatGPT where it can be like, if you have any sort of, like, if you need help creating headlines for your ads or descriptions or things like that, it can help you with that also. It's a really powerful tool, and I'd encourage you guys to actually go in and just play with it. It's a free account. You can set it up. Just go ahead and play with it and get to know it really well. I've probably spent about 40 hours just learning the platform, the good parts, the bad parts. And with that familiarity, I can use it to help me create the content I need to continue to drive traffic to my business. So I encourage you guys to give that a shot. I know this session's been a little bit different. I'll open up the floor now to some questions about anything having to do with Conversion Pro or about ChatGPT. So if you all have questions, why don't you go ahead and fire them off into the chat, and we'll just take them on one by one. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in. I'm going to take a drink. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and instantaneously publish this to the live section on our YouTube channel. Um, is there a video on scheduling the social media post? Yes, there is. It's in our knowledge base. The knowledge base is still being transferred over to YouTube, but what I can do is go over that quickly, Shane, no problem. So to schedule your post, I'll go and start from scratch. So we're starting from the dashboard. We're going to go to the marketing section, social media planner. Clear that. And then all I have to do is go ahead and say new post. This is assuming that you've also set up your social media channels within. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab social media channel that I have for sample purposes. And then what I can do is I can copy over from the chat. I can copy over one of these social media posts. I'm just going to go ahead and add it here. See here. And then I just put in the content here. And then what I can also do is I can add photos. So I can say like, okay, let's go and add photos. Everything has to be done through through the media library. So if I want to, I can say, like if I have social media or brand assets, let's just look and see if we have a photo we can use. So I'm just going to use this. It's a horrible example because it's just a logo. But you can see it adds it here. And then the other thing I can do is I can add a link. You would put obviously your actual thing, your actual address here. for that blog entry that we published. So my website.com forward slash, blog article or whatever it is. And then what I could do is I can save it for later. I can post, or I can schedule the post. Okay, and by scheduling the post, I can put it like anytime. So like if I wanted to do it, say on Monday, and just do Monday, I can set it for right at the top of the hour at 10 a.m. and then I can just schedule the post. Okay, and then what will happen is it'll be sitting there. It'll show you here that it's been scheduled and the complete. And this post is basically created by chat, and then we were able to add a photo. I just add the logo because that's what I had, and also with a link to the blog, and that will go out at the specified time. Okay, so that's a real brief sort of overview on how to use a social media planner. And then I'll just get posted, and you can go ahead and load them up. Like you can plan several in advance. The chat program I asked, I think for 20. You can just go ahead and load all those up and have them going out at interval. Say ideally what you'd be doing is posting about different things throughout the week. So like I'd post like if you just did like one of this post for this blog article like once a week, then that already with 20 posts, you have 5 months worth of content stretching out into the future. And then what you could do is do another blog article and post it once and do the same thing, post it once a week, and also post your local stuff like favorite restaurants, parks, things like that. And then you have like this huge library of content going out because the more you put out on social media, as long as it's valuable content, then that's going to be something that that gives you some benefit. So earlier, the scheduler had an option for an Excel file. So will that create a number of articles in the same time? How's that look? Okay, what that basically does is, yeah, you can schedule or you can add a upload from CSV. And then what you do is you upload it and select it. And then what you would do ideally is you need to put a date and time field in the CSV in the Excel file, and that's going to be when it's scheduled to go out. So you'll have like your message, your social media message. Then you'll have the link within the message in one entry. You'll have the entire message that's going out. Then you'll also have the date and time you want to go out with, and then you'll just select socials once you've uploaded the file. I'm afraid I don't really have that prepped, but it's fairly straightforward. So in the text column, we'll support caption and hashtags. The link column is med tag and accepts one link. So you can just basically make it so that it's, so you have the date, then you have the text with the caption and hashtags, then you have the link column, which is a link to where you want things to be posted. And then you can have an image and a video column. And then what you would do is you would just put the web address for those images in there. So, and then you can put up to 90 posts in there, and then it will pull it in and it'll be automatically scheduled and everything all at once. You can do up to 90 posts per CSV file. So what you could do is copy everything from that ChatGPT just right into a CSV file, finish it all out with an Excel, and then upload it, and then you're done. Let's see here. Is there a format file available for us to use as an example? Not as of yet, but it gives you the. Oh yeah, here it is. Download the sample file. I'm sorry. Yes, it is. So if you download the sample file, let's see if it'll let us look at it. Help you shape social media, tender, blah, 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 blah. So it shows you how it looks here, and then you can open it in Excel, and it'll show up in the proper format. Yes, typically they are. Typically they are limited to 250 characters per field. So this will work for like the shorter form content. Okay, so yeah, you can take the example of their sample and just fill it out accordingly using their sample, but it gives you the description of what the CSV file looks like within this area here. If that makes any sense. So that brings us. Let's see. Oh, because you're not posting the entire article. You're posting a social media post that points to the article. So the article could be 1,200 words, but you're not posting the whole article in social media. You're posting basically calls to action to encourage people to look at the article elsewhere. So you don't need to post the entire. You can't post the entire article to social media in this fashion. Only like the little hints, the little. Go ahead and grab it here so you can see it. So basically, what you see is you see like all these things, and you can make them shorter, or what have you, if it's not within the realm. Okay, cool. So, unfortunately, we're getting down to kind of the end of our time here. But if you have any questions, feel free to hop on the next AMA or reach out to support, and we'll do our best to get them answered. And otherwise, let's go forth and crush 2023. And thank you guys for watching. And we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.